So for the first thing we're going to look at is what's going on this day, right? Like, what's the action? So is it going to be like a high energy day? Because there's certain things that you look at in like the chart, like the day, just the horoscope of the day, before you move on to other things. Because that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. Gingy, Wingwon, Danielle, that's what we do. Right on the sunny side. This is how we do astrology. So we're going to check out the day and see what's going on. Because if during the football game the moon is void, then nobody's going to do anything. Right? If the moon is void, everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, whatever. During a void moon, they say the favorite usually wins during the void moon. There you go. What's the big deal? So there you go. Void moon, the favorites wins. So the very first thing you want to look for is the moon void? Like, are they going to even play, or are they just going to like screw around? Remember, I've told you guys a bunch of times, like I repeatedly say, it's not about I told you so. I'm just saying, oftentimes, a lot of astrology can boil down to the relationship between the sun and the moon. And once you find out what's going on with the sun and the moon that day, where it is and where the tension is, then you can do your thing. Then you don't even need to know, you don't need to know all the other stuff that's going on, right? So during the football game, this moon is going to cross the south node, right? During the day, earlier on in the day, the moon is going to cross the south node. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Okay? The nodes are the only thing in the entire universe, including Thanos, that can block out the light from the sun. That's what the nodes are the only thing that can block the light of the sun. The nodes are that powerful. So you're going to see earlier on in the day, the moon is going to cross the south node. That's going to be a big deal. The south node is going to draw in all of this Rahu. The Ketu is going to really bring out a negative kind of emotional state. And I'll read this to you in a sec. I have my notes up from the class, and I'll read them to you. And so my students get these notes. I'll read them to you today, whatever, about the moon crossing Ketu. So that's definitely going to happen. So certain signs are going to have problems with this. Like a Leo is going to have problems with this, right? Like it's square. And Aquarius is going to have problems with this, right? That's just the way it is. A Scorpio might be okay with it. Taurus might be okay with it. A water sign is probably okay with it. I'm giving you guys hints, right? A water sign would probably be okay with it. Other signs might not be so okay with it. The fixed signs, maybe not so much. So that's what's going on. I say it every month. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing should be obvious. The sun is clearly squaring the moon, right? The moon, do I have to draw another arrow? The moon is traveling. So the sun is obviously squaring the moon, right? Or the moon is squaring the sun. So this is going to create a type of energy, a very powerful energy that everyone is going to be feeling. And that energy is going to lay down on certain people's charts, and it's going to affect them in certain ways. So that, in my eyes, that's the big energy of the weekend, of the Super Bowl. We have the moon interacting with the south node. Excuse me. And then we have the moon forming a square with the sun. And that's going to cause certain energies to be played out by everybody. And when I tell you what these mean, then you guys will understand what's going on. All right, so that's the deal. Mars is lining up in an interesting aspect with Chiron here, right? They're lining up a little bit. What the hell? Right? Mars. Okay, so Mars and Chiron are lining up a little bit. That's an interesting situation. So let me read what it says, because I wrote this out for you guys. It's part of the notes. This is the second study guide. So when we have the sun square the moon, okay, this is the first what's going to happen during the game. So the sun square the moon means severe mental strain and a lack of harmony, right? Lack of mental harmony, emotional harmony, lack of mental harmony. The sun square the moon tends to be high tide, right? You launch boats or you start journeys, sun square the moon. Some people start journeys when the moon is high, full moon, but it's different, okay? Sun square, right? It's conflict between the mind and the soul. Guys with the sun square the moon, they don't know what they want. So next, so check it out. So sun square the moon. So I'm telling you this because this is how everybody's going to be feeling. You know, and this is when I do the horoscopes, I don't do them anymore, but the monthly horoscopes or the weekly horoscopes always mention when the moon squares the sun because people are going to be grouchy and lethargic and they're not going to want to do anything. So this means there's a conflict between the mind and the soul and they don't know what they want to do. That's a big deal. This is indecision during the Super Bowl. So guys are going to be indecisive. It's going to be a day of, oh, are they going to go for it? Or they aren't going to go for it? Flip a coin. Anyone can do this. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Anyone can win. What's going on? Should we do this? Should we not do this? That's what the day is going to be like. Should we order nachos? Should we order beer? Should we get pizza? Should we get, chips? What are we going to do? Right? That's how everybody's going to be feeling. Not only everybody in the game is going to be feeling it, including the quarterback. Who am I going to throw the ball to? If everyone is going to be indecisive on that day as a general guideline, well, then the quarterback's going to be a little indecisive as well. Who do I throw the ball to? 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 These guys are fast guys. The less decisions that you have to make, the less this is going to affect you. So, the more decisions, the more you're going to be affected by this particular thing here. Same with runners, guys running with the ball. Which way do I go? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go left? Do I go right? Which way do I go? Right? That's what's happened. That's this indecision that's going to happen during the game. So keep that in mind. They're going to be indecisive during the game. It's going to be difficulty. There'll be problems with penalties. The ref is going to penalties like, oh, is that a penalty? Is not that a penalty? Penalty reviews, right? Reviews. So put this all into your bets, man. Right? So a lot of indecisiveness here. So what does that lead to? Indecision leads to defense, right? So indecision leads to strong defense. It could lead to a really good offensive weapon. If you're a focused offensive player, you could get past the defense. If you throw out a lot of fakes, the defense will bite into the fakes. But there'll be a lack of indecision. So when you're making your little bets, how is this indecision going to affect the refs? Is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Are we going to have big plays? Big plays? Are we going to have big plays because the refs aren't not going to mess things up? So that's what's going on, indecision. All right, what else is going on? There's more to it. Astrologically, when the sun squares the moon, right? I mentioned this recently, but I don't think I've told you guys this before, but I mentioned it recently. Parents, guys who have studied with me know this. Sun square moon, parents may not have been suited for each other, or your parents weren't married or not a good match. Or sometimes when the sun is square the moon, your father is not your real father kind of thing, or you're adopted. More like your parents have a problem. Sun square the moon, your low level of effort. So guys are going to have a low level of effort this weekend during the game. It's going to be lazy during the game. Sun square moon is notoriously lazy. It also means lack of discipline. So that indicates if it's a lack of discipline, a lot of penalties. So I'm saying a lot of penalties. So sun square the moon also indicates possible death in a family. If you have sun square your moon on your natal chart, you'll have a death in your family. And sun square the moon is domestic disputes and separation. Generally, sun square the moon people have fucked up relationships. So there you go. But their partners don't necessarily die early. That's Venus square Mars. Those guys' partners die early. Okay, do you guys get that? So according to all of this, the sun square the moon alone is going to lead to a very sloppy game. It's going to lead to a sloppy game. It's going to lead to a lot of turnovers. It's going to lead to a lot of penalties. What else is going on? Now, I thought as the sun, because the sun is approaching Saturn, that maybe it would be a very disciplined game, a very defense-oriented game, instead of a flashy game, because nothing's really doing any kind of flash thing there. So that's my 2 cents. So when you're doing astrology like this, you're going to see the home team. What the fudge? You're going to see this team versus this team is how they do it. So when you're looking at the game, you're kind of looking at this is one net and this is like the other end zone. I know it's a weird way to look at it, but again, I'm taking the time right now to show you guys how I look at the game. And and we saw things like when we look at sports, we saw when Anthony Davis got injured. We saw when what's his name would shoot all those points from Golden State. We saw that. We saw it. We saw the relationship between Kyrie and Kevin Durant. We saw Kevin Durant acting like a Libra. We saw these things. And so this is what we're going to see. And then I'll tell you what the difficulty is. We're going to see a highly defensive game. So if we look at it, there's nothing going on over here. There's no attack on this. There's no attack on that end zone. Like, it's empty. There's nothing going on. One team. When you guys, and I know this is so weird, okay? Just bear with me. Just do it, okay? When you're watching the game, this side of the field over there, nothing's gonna happen. Okay, it's like nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna be like, what? And all of the action is gonna be over here on this side of the field. I know it's really weird, but this is but we've seen this before. And I'm not saying like I know everything about everything, but this is what we're looking at. All right, now here's how they look at it using this type of astrology. These guys are ruled by the sun. And these guys are found over here. So these guys are going to spend a lot of their time over here, quite literally over here. But this team here has Saturn right there blocking them on the goal line. So as much as that sun is there shining brilliantly and saying, hey, I'm here attacking, Saturn is stopping them from entering into the 7th house. I know this seems like such a mental way of doing astrology, but just bear with me and watch this play out during the game. So the Leo team is going to try everything to get into the end zone, but Saturn is stopping them here on this side. They're just stopped. The sun's not going to be able to get past Saturn, indicating a low-scoring game. But at the same time, Venus is wide open on that side, and Venus and Neptune, right? And now Venus isn't like Mars. Hey, I'm Mars, get away. Venus is like, hey sailor, hey sailor, come on in. Yeah, we open for business. And so that's what Venus is doing. So like, this is where things get difficult. On one side you have they're stopping them cold. And on the other hand, you have Venus saying, come on in, let's party. And so it makes it a little bit tricky. So it does look like, but having said all that, nothing is even looking at this side of the field. Nothing. It's empty. So that's what it looks like to me. And the ruler of the 7th house is right here stopping the sun. Like, it's fighting the sun. So it looks like a fight. It looks like a highly defensive game. And normally, so the question is, okay, so that's what's going to happen. So the question now is, which team do you put on which side? So I know some people will do it based on the sign, the astrological sign, and that's where colors come into play. And like, That's where colors come into play. I know it seems messed up, but that's where colors come into play. So they'll say the sun rules Leo and the sun is yellow and gold. So whatever team is yellow and gold is going to be represented by Leo. That's what they'd say. And some people say the home team is on that side. And other people say the favorite is on that side. And actually, for me tonight, before we move forward, I'm going to put Philadelphia here on this side. So I'm saying Philly is over there, and I'm saying Kansas City is over here. Oh my God, isn't Annie H from Kansas City? She's from. Anyways. So I think Philly's going to win this game. I think Kansas City's not a defensive team, and I think this is going to be a defensive game, and I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes in the game. I think there are going to be a lot of penalties. I think a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, a lot of holding, and I think a lot of it's going to go against Kansas City. But having said all that, I'm going to warn you guys. I'm going to caution you guys against what the hell? I'm going to caution you guys. Come on, man. I'm just trying to draw a cool arrow. What the hell? I'm going to caution you guys against the big play. Okay. So it looks like Philly's going to win this game astrologically on defense, unless I put the teams on the wrong end. Okay. That's what I'm saying. You're going to see it very straight ahead. This is what's going to happen. It looks like Philly's going to smother Kansas City and Kansas City's end for the entire game. Kansas City's not going to break out of their end zone, what it looks like. But it also looks like with that Mars at the top, the Kansas City's going to be have a couple of big plays. And that's what I think is going to happen in this game. That's how I do astrology, and that seems to work for me. So, all right, next. Are you guys... So, you guys can't see everything here because we're on the screen and it's messed up. But here's what I think. So, Mahomes is a Virgo, right? Virgo's okay. Venus, Chiron conjunct, okay. People think he's someone else. He's going to have problems in love. Maybe he's a pervert. Maybe, whatever. Good-looking guy, right? Makes a lot of money based on his looks. See, Venus that close to his sun. Now, here's the thing. I see Saturn at 27 degrees squaring his Pluto in the freaking Super Bowl. So that can't be happy, That's legitimate square. We also see Pluto is absolutely squaring his nodes. So Pluto is a separating aspect, right? Pluto is separating from the square to his nodes. Slow, painful separation. Maybe he had a death in his family recently. I don't know. But Mahomes had a death in his family, or he's sick or something. So that's a separating aspect. But the Saturn is applying to the Pluto square. So he has some things in his chart which indicate he's about to have, an out-of-talent experience here. He's about to get kicked in the Yahoo Serious. Oh, man. This 1 degree, this Pluto moving towards 1 degree Aquarius makes a harmonious aspect to his Venus. So he'll probably, he could make a lot. He's probably going to spend a lot of money, right? Spend a lot of money to make a lot of money, or a big change in his finances somehow. Actually, with that Pluto there's a big change in his finances. No, I think you guys, if you look at what I'm looking at, I just pointed it out. I think he might get injured. Unless you guys see something I don't see. I mean, I see this guy getting injured. like Saturn is at 21, like Venus, Saturn. I mean, he could just as easily win. I mean, Venus is conjunct, it's Venus, Neptune, they're conjunct his Saturn. So, hard work and discipline are going to prevail right now. But, so that's a big aspect. But Venus makes that aspect to his Saturn every year. So I wouldn't overly stress it out. So he's going to perform probably on par as last year, except that he has the Saturn square and the Pluto square to contend with. I think he's going to get injured, guys. I really do. All right, so that's and I'm pretty good at predicting when people are going to get injured. So, anyways, that's the deal. Where's the square happening in his chart? Where's this moon square? It's in his money. He's going through a money thing right now. Like he's probably he's worried about a bonus, I guess. All right, there you go. No, Patrick Mahomes is going to get injured this game. And then as he heals, he's going to go through that node opposition and he's going to change his life somehow. Something big is happening to him this game. I don't think he's going to win. And then as we move forward, he might win, but like, I don't have to be right. So like, I'm not betting on the game. Where am I going to shit money to bet on the game? Now, when we look at Jalen Hurts' chart, I'd be surprised if Patrick Mahomes finishes the game. Here we go. When we look at this guy's chart, it gets a little it's a little interesting here. So, just like the other guy, the Kansas City guy, this guy has a yearly transit happening that's going to give him a boost. This Venus right here, this Venus we were just talking about, it's a yearly transit, right? So like every year he'd be pretty good at this time of year. It has Neptune blessing it, right? So for both guys, Neptune, Venus are blessing it. The only problem is that moon's sun square is making everyone a little bit lethargic. Now, so we have that up there, and that is in Pisces, and that aspect in Pisces makes a really nice aspect all the way down here. Fucking hell. And so all the way down here, right to his Venus. So he's going through a Venus trine. Now, as Venus, I don't usually say you're going to win the game because of Venus. I almost never say that. So, but let me show you something else. So in this guy's chart, right, in Jalen Hurts' chart, the Philadelphia quarterback, he has Venus conjunct Mars. This is one of the biggest, the number one. Holy jeez, I'm going to freak out if I can't stop this thing from wiggling and when I draw on it. Oh my God. This right here is considered one of the biggest aspects for athletes right here. Venus conjunct Mars. Right? Kimberly has it. Life Path 9 has it. She's a jock. I'm not a jock, Sonny. I just like to be friendly. I just like to be on the team. Okay, whatever. So here we go, right? This right here is one of the biggest astrological aspects pointing towards a jock. And so many athletes have it. Now, this thing happening at the bottom of the chart, when the game starts, when the game begins, this moon is definitely going to be squaring this sun up here. Right? It's definitely going to square the sun. So he's definitely going to start the game a little loose, a little shaky, a little, fumbly, a little indecisive. The Philadelphia QB is going to start the game loose. But this is a separating aspect, and the game starts with the moon at 16. So he's going to be loose, and as the game progresses and the moon clicks along here at the bottom of the chart, as the moon clicks along at the bottom of the chart, he's going to gain focus. Right? As other people are losing focus, he's going to gain focus. He's going to get better as the game goes on. The Philly quarterback's going to get better as the game moves along. In addition to that, this sun down here, right? This sun that's happening right here, What the hell? This moon down here is going to make a really harmonious aspect to all of that Cancer energy and this energy up here. And it's going to form a trine. It's going to form a nice, fluid, grand trine. So the moon, which is going to be lethargic for everyone else, is actually going to amp this guy up. So I think this Philadelphia guy is going to start off shaky, and then he's going to settle down and he's going to have a really good game. And I think Mahomes is going to get injured in a serious way. I think he's going to get injured. And I think it's going to be because of sloppy play of his lines. I think the lines are going to be very sloppy as we move along. And that's what I think was happening with the guys. I could be totally wrong, but like whatever, man. so yeah, it looks. I think that I think Philadelphia is going to take it. I think Philly's going to win. I think it's going to be a messy game. I think it's going to be loose, and I think there are going to be problems. I think that's going to be it. All right, those are my Super Bowl picks. I didn't see any of the games this year. I don't know what's going on. That's what I'm looking at.